The first is just shift your perspective. In 1 Corinthians 10:31, Paul writes, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God." I think if we can shift our perspective to have this in the back of our minds more, and even the question of how can I glorify God in this with whatever we're doing or consuming, that will help us begin to be more mindful about what we're actually doing with our time and with our lives. I think it also opens us up to a deeper connection with God, which is ultimately what we're after, when we start to realize that everything we do becomes a potential act of worship. Everything that we do is potentially a way to glorify God. So simply changing our posture a little bit and asking, looking for the ways to glorify God in the things that we consume and enjoy will help us to be more intentional about them and more mindful of what's going on. The second thing is set boundaries. This seems so simple, right? Like many of the things we've been talking about, it's almost insultingly simple. But it's usually the thing that we overlook, which is how we wind up binging, right? It's a really simple concept. If I sit down to watch a show at the end of the day with my wife and I grab a bag of Lay's barbecue chips, the most perfect chip ever created on the planet, if I bring the whole bag with me, I'm going to eat a lot, like a whole lot. But if I just grab a handful of chips and like put them in a bowl, like even like a big handful, right? Like it's fine. I want to have some chips. I'm going to eat less because I just set that boundary. And I'm going to feel just as satisfied. It's going to be great. I'm going to have a great time. Set boundaries ahead of time to take control of what's enough. It's just about being intentional ahead of time and taking control. It feels elementary sometimes, but even all of our phones now have things that you can set timers on different apps. I've got so many timers on this phone now to try to keep me from unintentionally wasting my day, that every time they go off, I feel kind of silly, but I'm also like, okay, good, that's enough, I'm done. And I don't accidentally waste hours and hours simply because I've set that boundary ahead of time. So shift your perspective, set boundaries. The third is practice Sabbath. And this is going to look a little bit different than what we've been talking about the previous weeks of practicing Sabbath. This is a 3-step kind of idea. The first is just choose a day to abstain or fast from whatever it is, whatever the thing is that you are struggling with. In addition to that, work up to spending an hour in stillness and silence. This might not be for the reason that you think. This is so that you can learn to be bored again. In a culture that is so overindulgent with entertainment, to your brain, boredom feels like death. So many issues of gluttony develop as a way of just us to escape our boredom. Like I was saying earlier, I stand in front of the fridge wanting to eat something because I'm bored, not because I'm hungry. We need to reprogram our brains to learn to be bored again. It's not a bad thing. In fact, boredom is often what leads to our deepest insights and our best innovations and our most creative acts. Learn to be bored again. You might look like that third group in the marshmallow experiment, just like rocking back and forth and pacing, just being like, what is happening? Why is this happening to me? But intentionally work some boredom back into your life. And then spend some time doing something that you enjoy that's outside of your current ordinary. Boredom is a good thing. Stagnation isn't. Shake up your routines. Get back into reading. Get your body moving. Go hiking, write, play, live. Do something that you know you enjoy that you're not doing now. Sabbath gives you permission and space to do these things. And then lastly, again, this is going to seem obvious, but as a recovering addict myself, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about this. Like on the other end of the spectrum, if you tonight are addicted to something, you need to confront that. If you are caught in the cycle of addiction, hearing someone say, just set boundaries, is the most infuriating and depressing thing. I know, I have been there. Like, okay, guy, yeah. If all it took for you to get healthy or clean was just choosing to say no, you would have done it by now. But here's the truth. It's still your choice to stay in your addiction or to find freedom. So, practicing giving up gluttony for you, it doesn't look like just saying no and choosing to not indulge. Instead, for you, it looks like saying no to your addiction's continued control over your life by choosing to get help, by revealing your struggles to people closest to you and asking for help. I know, this is a lot easier to say than do. Similar to what we talked about with apathy, to address this, you're going to have to do the very, very last thing that you want to do, the thing that you're most terrified to do, the thing that you've come to believe you couldn't possibly do, which is be honest and ask for help. It is really hard, but you're strong enough to do it, and your life is worth it. And you will look back and wonder, what took me so long? I'm happy to walk with you through that process, through your addiction. I still fight mine every day, but it doesn't run my life. If I can do that, every single person in this room absolutely can. I'm happy to listen to you and to help connect you to counselors, whatever help you need in order to be free. We have a grace fund around here. If counseling is too expensive for you, we can help with that to some degree. Talk to me. You were created for greatness. You were created to be free. So take back your freedom. Do it starting tonight, starting this week, starting this spring season. It's the first day of spring. This could be the first day of the end of your addiction. It's a beautiful time to start the rest of your life. So, to recap, gluttony is this insatiable force that steals our joy and our freedom. It steals our very lives in exchange for momentary fleeting pleasures. What is ruling you? Will you continue to be ruled, or will you grab hold of freedom, the freedom that you are called to, the freedom that you deserve? Will you continue to be weary and burdened, or will you find rest for your soul? That choice is yours. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.